This week on Living the Dream. Captain Jimmy Nelson travels to Venice, Louisiana, and hooks some big redfish with Captain Floyd Falcon. Captain Floyd cooks for the crew, and the next morning, Captain Jimmy meets up with Captain Blake Rigby to head for deeper waters in search of the Yellowfin Tuna. This is Living the Dream with Captain Jimmy Nelson. Presented by Salt Life. Live salty.
Good fish. Man, what a fish. Wow. Doesn't get any better than Baja.
This is awesome.
I'm talking about. Sportsman's Lodge is an all-inclusive lodge here in Venice, Louisiana. They make you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All of your drinks are included, alcoholic and non-alcoholic. Your captain of the day can pick you up right there behind the lodge. He can drop you off at the end of the day at the same place. They clean your fish there. Everything you need is there. You have your own private little bunk. They take care of you from the minute you walk in till the minute you leave. Today we met up with Captain Floyd Falcon at the Sportsman's Lodge, and we were heading out to do some red fishing. We made a pretty good long run out of the river. You could see, all the canes and the shrimp boats and all the different things that you pass along the way on the way out. I don't see cows swimming too often, so that's always pretty cool to see. He said that the reports for the redfish haven't been that good because the water was so hot. They've had a heat wave here the last couple weeks, and it's really heated that water up, which will slow the redfish bite down, but we were still pretty optimistic that we would catch some. So we pull up to that first spot, and Floyd kind of explained to me what we had there. And what we were fishing was anywhere from about 1 to 2.5 feet of water, and it was an oyster bed. So there's a lot of oyster bars, very easy to get cut off on. And I was throwing the Tsunami gold spoon because I knew that I could probably suspend that about a foot off of the bottom. So I made a few casts with that gold spoon, and it didn't take me very long at all, and I had a hit. There it is. Yeah, good hit. Woo! Welcome back to another episode of Living the Dream. I'm Captain Jimmy Nelson, and today we're out here with Captain Floyd of Venice Inshore Fishing Charters. And he's putting us on some big redfish today. So get ready for some redfish action out here. And I got this one up beside the boat now. But when that fish got close to the boat, I realized that it was just a big redfish that was running at us. There he goes, he just came alive on me. Just came alive on me. And that big bull just kind of took me all the way around the boat. What I decided to throw on there, we're real shallow here. A lot of obstacles and things on the bottom. I didn't want to bounce a jig and lose it. It's a little wavy for my top water. So I put one of those Tsunami spoons on, a gold spoon. So I work it over the power pole and come back towards the front of the boat and try to keep that redfish off of any other obstacles that were there. Gold spoons are tried and true. One of the oldest redfish baits out there. Look at that fish in the water, man. Oh, look at that thing. I had my drag pretty cranked, and we got that fish a little bit closer to the boat. I was trying to get it within range so that Floyd could net it. And then Floyd netted that fish and pulled him in. There he is. All right. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, you're right.
Good job.
This is what we do down here. That's a stud.
That definitely wasn't the biggest redfish I've ever caught in Louisiana, but we were on the right track because we were catching some bulls. What we're catching these big bulls on, so you'll know what we're using throughout the day. We don't want it to be any surprise to you. We're not hiding what we're fishing with. What he just took out of my hands there is a 4,000 Tsunami Shield in their Coastal Series Tsunami rod. And you can see deep down in that fish's mouth right there is a gold spoon. That's what he ate. That's a Tsunami gold spoon stuck to his tongue. Doesn't taste like that pogie he was after, but it worked out good for us. Man, what a stud, man.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
And he told me, so we can catch slot fish all day long, all we want. I didn't want that. We wanted the big reds. A lot of people come down here and meat fish. If you want to do that, this is your man right here. He will put you on those fish. I just want to catch and release a bunch of big bulls today, and this is what we're after. Way to start it off. Not more than 5 minutes out here, already hooked up to a big stud. Got it out. There it is right there.
That's that spoon.
Well done, man. Well done.
Living the Dream with Captain Jimmy Nelson is made possible by Salt Life. Live salty. Sea Deck. Your boat deserves Sea Deck. C&H Lures. Be a winner with C&H Lures. Yozuri. Fish the best. Angle Coolers. The original high-performance cooler. And by Cressy. Since 1946. Captain Jimmy Nelson is fishing the flats of Venice, Louisiana. After meeting up with Captain Floyd at the Sportsman Lodge, they hit the river and make way for their first redfish. Just 5 minutes into fishing, and Captain Jimmy has landed their first bull.
There it is. Yeah, good hit. There he goes. He just came alive on me. Just came alive on me. And that big bull just kind of took me all the way around the boat. There he is. All right. So after popping that spoon out of his mouth, I went ahead and got ready to release the fish. Beautiful fish, didn't take long at all. It's the way I like to fish. Don't like to hunt for them all day. Look at that thing. Beautiful Louisiana redfish. So as I was putting that fish in the water to release him, I thought I was gonna have to revive him a little bit, but it really didn't take much reviving to get the fish to swim off. Look at that. He wouldn't even let me revive him. That is a sign of a healthy fish. Couldn't even shake him twice and he was out of there. That redfish swam off right away, so we got ready to catch another one. Floyd's sitting there chugging that popper along and chugging that popper, and then all of a sudden he got nailed. And he thought it was a catfish. So he's reeling this fish in, and I was like, I don't know, it's pulling kind of hard.
Maybe not.
And then all of a sudden that thing really started pulling, and he realized he didn't have a catfish on. So Floyd worked that fish close to the boat, got him within range for me to net him, and I netted the fish and pulled it right in. Floyd, I tell you what, buddy, that's the bull you were after.
Yeah, you're right, my friend.
Look at that, the Tsunami swim bait right there in the corner of his mouth. Wow, what a stud, buddy. So Floyd's sitting there popping that popping cork, and I'm throwing my spoon, and then all of a sudden my spoon got nailed again. And it was a little trout, but mine shook off, and right as mine shook off, Floyd hooked up.
This is not a trout.
It would have been nice to have a double on, but the trout flipped off and the one that mattered was still hooked up, which was the big redfish. Louisiana special right there. The colors on him, man. Whew.
Yeah, he's hot.
If you guys see why this is working so well, we're only in about 2.5 feet of water. If you notice on this redfish, his mouth is positioned on the bottom of his head. The way a redfish feeds is they feed down. So he's popping and getting his attention with that cork there, and this swim bait's coming across the bottom, and he sees it, and he's gonna come down on and eat it. That's why a lot of times you see that tail sticking out of the water. It's the reason I love the topwater bite so much, because these fish are not made to eat topwater, so it's a big sloppy explosion when they come up. But dude, these are cookie cutter fish. It's just one after another in that 33, 34 inch range right there. You know, I thought things were going really good because we caught 3 nice bulls right away, but then it just shut down all of a sudden. The fish just quit biting. We were just casting, and hour after hour was passing. So we headed back to the Sportsman's Lodge, and Floyd said he was gonna prepare us a nice dinner.
Right now I'm preparing some sashimi for you guys. We're gonna do it with a little lime salt and sesame seeds.
Floyd started off with making us a seared tuna appetizer and a tuna sashimi appetizer.
That's a wrap. To do anything more to it would be an absolute crime.
After those two awesome appetizers, Floyd made us the main course, which was a pasta dish that was loaded with crawdads, and it had like a cheesy cream sauce and onions and peppers and mushrooms.
We have basically what we call in New Orleans the Holy Trinity. Bell pepper, celery, onions. This is all done in butter, by the way. Butter.
That worked out good for us, and it was a great way to wrap up a good day of fishing on the water.
Living the Dream with Captain Jimmy Nelson is made possible by Salt Life Optics, unparalleled clarity and contrast. Cayman Islands Angling Club, come experience sport fishing in paradise. Papa's Pilar, never a spectator. Plantation on Crystal River, the place to stay and play along Florida's nature coast. And by American Fishing Wire. After a hard day's fishing and a good night's meal, the team heads out early the next morning to meet with Captain Blake Rigby of Triple Tail Charters.
After eating a great breakfast at the Sportsman's Lodge, we hooked up with Captain Blake and started running down the river, and the goal for the day was to go tuna fishing offshore on the oil rigs. On our way out, we came across a weed line and it was loaded with bait, so we pulled out the sabiki rigs and started working up some bait. It didn't take us very long to load that live well with some hardtails. They were probably about 3 or 4 inches long, the perfect size for these tuna on these rigs. Once we had enough of those in the live well, we went out to that first rig where Blake said there should be some nice yellowfins. After arriving at that first rig, we started setting up to chunk, and we basically got the big reels out, the big 50 wides, and started running our lines down in the water with chunks of bonita. So I grabbed a vertical jig because we weren't having a lot of luck chunking, and I kept getting hit by the small blackfin tuna. Got him on that hydro popper. So I brought out the Tsunami knife jig and started jigging, and almost instantly I hooked up a blackfin tuna. It wasn't a real big fish, but we kept it for bait because we did need more bait for chunking. The yellowfin didn't seem to want to come up and hit on top or on the bottom, but we were seeing the fish pop all around us. We even seen some of the yellowfin jumping completely out of the water. Oh, I told you it wouldn't take long. Oh my gosh, you nailed it. Oh. Hopefully we'll hook into some nice yellowfins a little later on in the day. You got that?
Yeah, nice.
There he is, a little chunky one. See, and that's what we got him on. That Tsunami knife jig. Brand new, right out of the case.
Not bad, man. Put him in the box.
There you go, way to start it off. So we had the 50 wides out, trying to hook something up on the live bait, and that just wasn't happening. We decided to go ahead and get everything set back up in the boat and head in to try to fish the shrimp boats. That was our shot at being able to catch a yellowfin. The way you get set up on the shrimp boat is you basically pull up to the shrimp boat, you get chum from the guys on the shrimp boat. because they have all kinds of bycatch that they catch. They get a bunch of croakers and eels and ribbon fish and flounder and all kinds of different things that these shrimp boats are pulling in, juvenile snapper, all kinds of stuff. So after loading the hatches in our boat with a bunch of that chum from the shrimp boat, we just started basically chumming right behind the shrimp boat, and what you start seeing right away is a lot of bonita. Not the shrimp boat we wanted to be behind, so we pulled up behind another shrimp boat. It just depends on the shrimp boat, really. Some of them have bonita, some of them have more sharks. So what we're doing out here is, if you see this chum in the water, we'll stop behind these shrimp boats and we're just dumping this chum in the water, the bycatch that comes off of them. And some of them will have bonita behind them, blackfin, hopefully some yellowfin below them. Right now we stopped behind this one. There seems to be a lot of sharks. The last one we were behind had a lot of bonita, but we weren't seeing the blackfin. We did see a couple blackfin mixed in here, but as you can see, this is just, look at all these sharks here. This is nothing but sharks. It's gonna be hard to get a nice tuna back to the boat. We might move on to the next shrimp boat, but that's all part of the game. And then all of a sudden, we saw a few yellowfin roll, and that was exactly what we were after. Behind a different shrimp boat, not as many sharks, but that was a big, nice yellowfin right there. So we got some yellowfin here, we got a couple blackfin. So we didn't start dropping our lines in the water right away. We kept throwing chunks of bait in the water and kept feeding these fish, and we're seeing more and more blackfin and more yellowfin. And once those yellowfin got real comfortable with our boat, we went ahead and hooked up a big croaker on the 50 wide and flipped it out in the water. And almost instantly, a yellowfin nailed it. Hooked up. So now I'm hooked up to this big yellowfin, and yellowfin are a super strong fight. Takes a little while to get these guys in.
That's a good fish, Jimmy.
Yeah, man.
Looking
Those
good.
bonita, I just felt a couple bonita bump my line.
That ain't
We
a
get
bonita,
lucky
huh?
here.
That ain't no bonita, huh, Jimmy?
But it got to the point to where we kind of had to stop chumming if we wanted to land these fish, because they kept running into our line, and we didn't want one of them to run into our line and cut off the fish that we had on. So what's happening here is I'm feeling fish hit my line because we're chumming. They're running into it, they don't see it. And if we get this line real tight like it is now, and you have one of these big fish bump into it, they'll cut you off. And this fish is just peeling out drag and just running. You just have to keep the heat on them. You don't want them to recover so that they'll fight longer. You just want to keep giving it all you got so that you can pull this fish closer to the boat. Because you will lose the school of fish, and you don't want to have to reset up on a shrimp boat and start doing it all over again. That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know if you understand the forecast here in Louisiana, but it's about 600 degrees out. Flat calm as far as you can see.
We'll be back for more Living the Dream right after the break. Captain Jimmy Nelson is in Venice, Louisiana, fishing with Captain Blake Rigby of Triple Tail Charters. With no luck on the rigs, the team started trailing shrimp boats in hopes that they'd hook a yellowfin with some help from the shrimpers' bycatch. The decision has paid off, and now Captain Jimmy is hooked to a massive yellowfin tuna.
Hooked up! So I'm fighting that fish for about 10 minutes now, and I'm really putting it into it. And the yellowfin were still beside the boat, and they were chumming on the other side of the boat. And Blake grabbed another one of the 50 wides and flipped a bait in the water. And almost instantly, he got nailed by a yellowfin as well. So now we're doubled up on yellowfin. So Blake gets his tuna closer to the boat, and the first mate gaffs it and pulls it in. Just out here living the dream. So I got that fish closer to the boat, we got a gaff in him and pulled him in the boat. Look at that, that's a big fish. Triple Tail Charters. This is the double that you just seen come in. This is the one that I was struggling with over here on the 50 wide. Blake doubled up with me on this one right behind it. Very chaotic in the boat. I mean, you're seeing water bottles flop everywhere, buckets, all kinds of stuff. And that's what it's all about out here. Just like dolphin fishing, tuna fishing is bloody, messy stuff, but the reward is worth it. So now we're gonna go ahead and bring those up there, chase down another shrimp boat, see if we can get on another school of tuna. So we pull up to another shrimp boat, and it had some bonita and some blackfin in it. And of course, I'm not gonna turn my nose up at blackfin, because blackfin made great sashimi and sushi as well. Fish on! These were very large blackfin tuna. They were averaging anywhere from 15, even up to over 30 pounds. But if you can get a good look at that thing, man, that is a nice, nice fish. See what we're using for bait here? The little blue runners. We dropped it about 50 feet below the surface, and that live bait got hit right away. But this right here is a trophy blackfin tuna. And that is what you can catch out here on the shrimp boats in Louisiana alongside those yellowfin. If you want to catch them, Blake is the guy to look for. You'll see his name with his information appear on the screen there. Check him out if you want to catch some fish like this. Decided to go ahead and call it a day and head into the Sportsman's Lodge and get some dinner.
For more fishing and diving action, follow along on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Captain Jimmy Nelson. Living the Dream with Captain Jimmy Nelson was brought to you by Salt Life. Live salty.